All right, so today is our Thursday call, and thank you all for tuning in today. And if this is your first time joining one of our Thursday sessions with the Investment Dominator, just keep in mind that today is primarily going to be advanced questions pertaining to the Investment Dominator. So hopefully, those of you that are joining from our Monday call have been working with the Investment Dominator, getting set up. Hopefully, you had your big three set up. If not, we do have our next Monday call where we will go ahead and go over that. But today we're going to go ahead and dive into some of the more advanced concepts. Again, so just keep in mind whenever you are asking a question so that we can go ahead and answer on the stream that we are going to keep it as general as possible. And when questions start to get a little bit too specific about your business or business plans, we just want to go ahead and direct you to coaching rather than being able to go ahead and do this on the stream here. So without further ado, my name is Dominic De Jesus. I work with IT support for the Investment Dominator, and we're going to have all your questions that you guys have today answered. And if there's no questions, I don't believe we have any questions in the backlog. So we'll just go ahead and dive into some updates with the Investment Dominator as well as some more advanced topics. And you may be wondering how you can actually go ahead and ask questions if you do want to go ahead and jump onto a specific topic, or if you want more information on another topic. So what you could go ahead and do is actually within the GoToWebinar, click to open the questions drop down and actually just go ahead and type whatever your question may be. You don't really have to worry about raising your hand, as I'll primarily be looking at the questions. So with that being said, if you guys are hearing my audio well and everything sounds good, just go ahead and send in a hello within the chat, and that'll just let me know that I'm not talking to myself. So when we're working with the Investment Dominator, some things you want to keep in mind is the LPG deal flow. So this is actually going to be transparent through everything Investment Dominator, and you're going to be able to have these goals that really, let's say these micro goals that lead to that real goal at the end where we're able to market our properties on our selling website and then being able to make some deals off of those properties. So there's a lot that goes into the Investment Dominator, as you can see here, just taking your list, being able to filter through that list, do some mailings, as well as do some research. So, one thing you want to keep in mind is that all this information on the left-hand side that you're seeing, so company information, county data, offer requests, property details, this is all information that you have that you're going to input into the Investment Dominator, whether that be through our land list, just importing through a CSV file, or if you're into integrations, we have a data tree integration where you can pull data straight from the county. So all of this is being input into the Investment Dominator, and what you're able to output in the end are these letters, these offers, these websites, as well as these calculators and tools, and analytics and team management. And hello, back to everybody sending hello in the chat. So let's go ahead and just dive straight into how we can process some of these items. So a couple topics that have come up recently with the Investment Dominator and working through the tickets. One thing you'll know, and topics that we'll kind of cover over today include working with some custom documents, merging records, just kind of going over and reiterating how we can clean that up. And we do have some new features with regards to merging records as well. We're going to go over some data tree as well as the REI Printmail integration. But for right now, one thing that may interest our advanced users is we actually updated our our buying website. And what I mean by that is the custom themes with relation to our buying website. So let's go ahead and take a look at some new custom themes that we have. So go ahead and click on Help right as soon as you log into the Investment Dominator. And the first thing that you'll see here is the ability to search our user guide. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and search is just buying. And we'll search our user guide, see if that comes up. So there's an article here called Create Your Own Custom Buying Site Theme. So you want to click on this article, and what you'll see here is, usually we have the 3 defaulted themes that you'll see here. So I believe this was teal profits, this was blue profits, and this was red and black profits. So just keep in mind, this one down here is actually going to be new. It's called Land Gen, as you can see here. And we updated the format, so you'll actually just be able to click right on the image, and that'll go ahead and take you straight to the download. So you'll see here, for instance, I have a Land Gen 3. So why don't we go ahead and test our new buying site theme. So if we go ahead here and we go back to our Investment Dominator, we'll just head to the Customize section. And then we're going to go ahead to Website Settings and go to Buying. So what we're going to go ahead and do, since we don't have any custom theme revolving around this Land Gen, we're going to go ahead and upload this custom theme. So we can go ahead and just click to upload. And what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we're going to go in my downloads, and I'll go ahead and click on the file. You'll then get a prompt that your new theme was updated correctly. And if we scroll down, we'll see that our new theme is right here. So just keep in mind, anytime you make changes within the Investment Dominator, you always want to come all the way down to the bottom just to be able to update your site. And then let's go and take a look. So what you'll see here is a new and updated buying site. And one thing I can really say is this goes ahead and takes the cake right now in terms of custom themes that we offer. And you're going to see just how clean this site is. And it's something that you would want to go ahead and work through. As well as at the bottom, you'll see just where we have here a sample buying site video. And just places where people can go ahead and enter if they have their prospect letter, and they'll enter their reference number and they'll get that cash offer. So this is something that is really great with the Investment Dominator, and it just goes to show some of the improvements that we're heading towards when we make these custom themes. So just keep in mind how you can, number one, update it, as well as be able to change any information. So for instance, if we're in website settings buying, just notice that you are able to actually have any pages that you create within your buying site. You can have these listed in this not set, and you can just go ahead and place those in your header menus. So for instance, let's go ahead and take a look. I believe if we go to website pages down here, you can actually see that we have a couple of web pages that we created. And if you click on this for the first time, you'll actually notice that you have this as empty, and that's okay. Just keep in mind, these are all my user created custom posts or custom pages. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the pages here. So we have a new discount URL, and it's just a discount offer. So let's go ahead and see here. We have a contact us page, but that's more for our selling site. Let's see, new deal offer available. So let's go ahead and actually say that, see if we got one more page here. So this map that we have located here, let's say that we want to go ahead and add this map to, let's say, our buying site, for instance. This is something that you would want to add for your selling site, but just to kind of show you a demonstration and an example of how you can go ahead and, number one, create a new page, and then as well as be able to add that page to your buying site. So I believe that was new deal offer available, or no, which one was that? Template. So let's just say that we're working with this new deal offer available here. So number one, when you're adding a new page, you'll just go ahead and click on Add Page up here, and you're just going to be run through some prompts. So for instance, it's going to, number one, ask you which website you want to have it for. So let's go ahead and say that instead of that, let's have it on our buying website. So now it's going to ask to load a custom theme page. We'll just leave that as that. And then page type, we'll have a single. And really what you want to keep in mind is anytime you're adding a new page and you're trying to test it out for the first time, you'll go ahead and just want to update this page status as public, as well as provide a page title. And you'll notice that right when you enter a page title, this will go ahead and show up under page URL. So you don't have to worry about adding any of the page content here, since you're going to be working with just this new deal offer available, and we already have this pre-built. So let's go ahead and just save this, for instance. So now if we wanted to add this to our buying site, what you want to go ahead and do is remember this option here. So edit buying site menu. With edit buying site menu, you'll be able to not only take pages that you create, but you'll be able to implement them onto your website. So now you'll see just some options that we have here. And I believe I was working with a new deal offer available. So just to kind of reiterate what's going on here, every single page, as well as the default items that are available for your buying and selling site, whether you choose to have them set or not set, as you'll see here, you can choose specific elements that you want to have. So that page that we created for our buying site, for instance, we can go ahead and drag that to our header menu, and we'll now have an option to go ahead and select that. So just keep that in mind, and this also works for the footer menu as well. So you'll have your not set, and then you have your footer menu, which is your items that are set. So if we go ahead and save this, then we should be able to go ahead to our websites, our buying site, and we now see this pop up here under new deal offer available. Now just keep in mind when you're working with your example, you would want to make a site that pertains more to your buying site. As you'll see here, this is just going to go ahead and open up the same page that I would have for my selling site. So just to show you an example, as well as to really complement this new theme that was created, you can see just how clean and how cut it is, as well as having just this sample buying site video. And I do believe we have a case where we can actually show you how to create a page to upload this. So let's go ahead and close this. So just to kind of bring things back to the custom buying site theme, you have these three available options, as well as this new option here. Down below, what you'll see is just some interesting information regarding how you can go ahead and create your own custom theme for your website. Just keep in mind that you're going to need a header file, a footer file, an index, preview.jpg, as well as some optional files here, as you'll see a contact us, sell your land, sell your house, as well as if you have any JavaScript or CSS styles. So now, to those of you who might be completely overwhelmed with kind of the technicalness, don't worry. Really, you can delegate a task like this to somebody who does freelance work, such as a front-end developer. And what they can go ahead and do is just be able to work through with your custom theme and see exactly how and what information is needed to go ahead and create that. So just showing you a quick reference here, you'll see this land gen option here. So if we go ahead and open this, what you'll see is all of the files that are basically required or optional, which are here. So excuse me, you'll have your header, you'll have your footer, as well as your index.html, and then your preview.jpg. And then remember those optional files there. So really, being able to send that front-end developer not only this article here on how to create your own buying site themes, but also just an example of a working theme, then that'll go a long way in being able to not only create a new theme for you, but being able to kind of walk through this And if you're wondering, so I have a question here from Sylvia, just wondering more about how we can contact a person like that. So let's see, there should be something in this article here, and if not, we'll go ahead and add it. But basically going to sites, let's see, custom theme. I'm pretty sure we do have an article that is pertaining it. One second here. All right, well, as far as it goes, kind of when you're creating your theme, you just want to keep in mind that we have over here on our selling site custom theme article, you'll actually see that you don't really have to know anything about coding or anything like that. You can actually just go ahead and work straight with HTML and CSS. So this is something that you're basically going to look for when you go on sites such as Fiverr.com or Upwork.com. So for instance, we'll go ahead to Fiverr and we'll go ahead and just look. So for instance, one thing you want to keep in mind is that when you are looking for someone to go ahead and work on your site, you're actually not going to want to get a WordPress site. You're actually going to just want to completely just focus on website design, or I believe here in the article it just says that you can go ahead and hire a front-end HTML and CSS developer. So that's really what you're looking for when you're looking for potential candidates to go ahead and create you a new custom theme. And again, just going from some examples like this, so let's see if we can kind of find something here. So front end, and then you'll see it right here. We'll just go ahead and put in front end web developer, and you'll just be able to see exactly how people can kind of create these themes. So just keep in mind that you're only really going to want to work with, let's see if we can add it here, HTML as well as CSS. See if that changes the results. You don't really need any of this other extra stuff, so just keep in mind you primarily need a developer that's going to work with HTML and CSS to be able to kind of just help you as well as set your business off right. So just keep in mind that if you did not want to go this option, you also have Upwork.com, which can be chosen here, or any other freelance businesses that also work with that. But that's just how you can, number one, create your themes as well as be able to manipulate your own or get somebody else to do it for you. Just keep in mind that with the Investment Dominator, we did roll out that buying site theme relatively fast, I would say. So we're really trying to hope to get as much custom themes as we can added, just like that land gen. So if you really like that, just really look forward to what's coming in the future. But yeah, so that's going to go ahead and just cover how we can, not only customize our buying site themes, but also create a new page for our buying site themes as well. So let's see if we have any questions regarding anything else. So one thing I also want to mention to you guys is really the integrations and the services that we offer, and also a little bit more into some automation. So there was a lot of questions on Monday pertaining to Zapier, and we'll go ahead and just kind of break down some of our integrations first that we have involved, and then we'll break down how you can connect these integrations, and then we'll just dive into some more topics with Zapier. So one article that I always like to come to is going over to the help guide, clicking over to the help section, going to our user guide here. You can go ahead and search for Quick Start. And while this is more of an advanced session, I do want to bring up the fact that we have quick access to these articles. So scroll all the way down to the bottom, and what you'll see is just, integrations. So these are 3 integrations which we've incorporated into the Investment Dominator this year. And, with each integration, we really think that it's tying in together a a lot of the services that may have complicated or just have a long process for users, and really just trying to take that and simplify it as much as we can. So what you'll see here, let's go over first, our integration with DataTree. So basically the integration with DataTree, we'll go ahead and click that here. This is going to allow you to have a new section within your Investment Dominator open, and we'll actually see that here. If we go to the land section of the Investment Dominator and we go to import, we'll actually go ahead and see that we have the option to get data from our outside data service. So just keep in mind, this functionality is only going to be available for those people who do have a DataTree, and I do not. So you'll see that I still have the option to go ahead and just select my county. But when I hit get record count, then I'll actually go ahead and see here that we do have the options that you can upgrade to. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up and just kind of go over this is because it's a really neat feature for when you need to go ahead and pull data directly from the county. So going through this process and going through this prompt, I'm sorry if that was too fast, let's go ahead here. So when we click on get data from our outside data service, we're not going ahead to see this screen here when we click to import a CSV file. So you'll see that this is actually completely different. Instead, when we click on this, we have a couple options here. So we have save criteria as well as previously saved criterias, and just some options here where you can load a criteria. So I just wanted to mention this because if you are using DataTree, one thing that you'll notice is that if you're pulling data from the same county, you want to keep in mind that when you first create that pull for that county, you want to go ahead and save your criteria. By saving your criteria, what you'll be able to do is click on previously saved criteria, and you can go ahead and load your criteria. What this will do, it will basically prevent any of the records that you have imported before when you do your second import with that new criteria. So clicking on just generating a new land list, you'll see the option here where you can go ahead and select a state as well as select a county. So I'm just picking random right now, but you'll see here as well you have the option for market value, and we do start at 5,000 and we can go all the way up to 1 million here, as well as you can go down too. So just keep in mind of these advanced filters as well. When you really, these are the basic filters that we have here. But if you start to work through and click on some of the advanced filters, you may notice that the list that you're trying to pull, let's say, it would have normally 500 records, but because of the advanced filters that you have, there may be only 200. So this is actually normal, just based on the exact criteria that you're choosing. And like we said before, you'll just hit get record count, and you'll be able to go ahead and see. So I can see right here, this is the big number that we want to follow. So we have 2,063 records. So these land records from this county and this state go ahead and match, and we can pull these 2,000 records. But the thing is that you can see here under limit size of mailing, I have no remaining records. So this is because that I did not buy the DataTree subscription. So you'll see here down below just these options again. But one thing I also want to keep in mind is this number here. So while you have your remaining records here, this number is actually going to be how many records you're pulling from this 2,000 list. So out of this 2,000, if I had maybe let's say 500 remaining records over here, we could just enter in 250. This is going to give us 250 records out of this 2,000. So just keep in mind, it's also good while you want to save your criteria as well. Also, tagging your criteria would be helpful as well too. So for instance, you'll see here, when I click on tag, the first thing that pops up is this dash. You can actually go ahead and remove that if you want. And let's say land pull, let's say 916 or 9-16. So right when I begin to add this record, for this data tree list, you'll see that I have this option right here and it's not going away. So it's saying click to add this tag. When you click it and you confirm it over here, that's how you know that you have tagged your record. And just keep in mind, you can also just test out pulling your criteria and seeing how many records you get and then saving that criteria as well. So if we just wanted to save this criteria, we can go ahead and say new saved criteria, and then you can go ahead and save your criteria. You'll get a message down below saying that your criteria was saved. So this is the first integration really that's impacted Investment Dominator in a great way, being able to really stop the troubles that are happening with the CSV file and being able to import directly into the Investment Dominator via data tree. So when we clicked on that article as well, just keep in mind that there's 3 separate articles from clicking on that quick start guide over here. So just clicking on one of these. So you'll see new outside data service integration feature. And then down below, you'll see number 1, how to enable the integration, how to generate criteria, as well as some FAQ pertaining to the subject. So this first integration was met with the Investment Dominator. And then we had Actum. And Actum is an integration which doesn't really get a lot of light shining on it, but it's really good when you want to go ahead and set up automatic payment processing. Let's say if you manage to work out a deal with somebody in buying one of your properties. So what you can go ahead and do is set up an automatic payment method, automatic payment processing, which is going ahead and setting that up with the user. So we have an article on how you, number 1, set that up with the user. And really, it's just for loans or lease purchases and really pertaining to financing notes. So if this pertains to you, you can go ahead and use this feature. And we have seen it has improved quite a lot of user experience. So as well, if you just kind of had more questions about the topic and you wanted to get more information such as fees or how to set up an account, this is all going to be covered in here during the FAQ. So let's go ahead and then talk about our, click out of this, REI Printmail Integration. So being able to go hand in hand with each other, the data tree integration allows you to pull directly from the county, while the REI Printmail integration allows you to go ahead and take that same data that you just pulled from the county, be able to go into campaigns and generate your campaign, but not only that, but be able to send to the mail house immediately. And the mail house that we are using is REI Printmail. Just keep in mind. So you'll just see that there's some FAQ involved with this, as well as how you can generate a campaign and enable the integration. Since we're going to go ahead and dive more into the automation aspects of working with Zapier and being able to enable some API usage, so that way we can get all the use of Zapier. And do keep in mind, bear with me if you aren't as technical, as we'll go ahead and break down this information in a bit. So you'll see this article here regarding REI Printmail, how to go ahead and enable your integration. So what you'll see is that within your land section of the Investment Dominator, or sorry, I believe it's the Customize section. Let's see here. Then you'll see this button down below for integrations. So a couple things to keep in mind. So depending on if you have an integration, you'll see the status as either active or inactive. Then you'll have the following integration. And then you'll have just a description. So REI Printmail just has direct mail service, and then your account. So a couple things to bring up here. Number 1, a data tree is not listed as an integration here because you actually have to, your data tree account is actually tied with the Investment Dominator. So you don't have to go out there and create a new data tree account that wouldn't work with our integration. You have to do it completely within the Investment Dominator. But when we have other integrations such as Actum or REI Printmail, one thing that you'll notice is that you need to go ahead and sign up completely on the other provider's site. So this also means if you have any troubleshooting issues in relation to, let's say, some orders that are happening with REI Printmail, that's going to be communicated with them, especially with a payment. If there's any payment concerns or payment questions, that's all going to be handled by REI Printmail's team. So besides that, what you'll go ahead and see is that right when you apply, you're going to need a couple of things. So you're going to need your API key as well as some further information to be able to set that up. I think maybe we could prompt the screen here. So what you'll go ahead and see is that you need your REI Printmail account email as well as your REI Printmail username and password. And then you'll generate that key and be able to use that within the Investment Dominator. So you also may be wondering, if you're hearing me talk right now and you go to your campaign section and you go to prospect neutral letter, keep in mind REI Printmail only works for the prospect neutral letter that's specifically generated from campaigns. And if you're wondering why it's kind of grayed and not selectable, it's actually because you need to go ahead and set up the integration before you can get access to it. But let's go ahead and click on this last article here on how to generate a campaign. You'll just kind of see, number one, once you select the option, you'll then be able to go ahead and see how many records are in your prospect status, which you're going to pull for your neutral letters. Then you'll see this CAS verification system. This is going to go ahead and match all of your information pertaining to your record, such as zip code as well as anything else. And that's going to get verified. And then what you'll notice is that you get an order menu from REI Printmail. And REI Printmail is going to go ahead and give you not only your order ID, your mail item number, they're going to tell you how many records were successfully processed, how many were rejected, as well as the total cost for your mailing. So do keep in mind that, number one, once you're done with this process, you're going to want to bulk update your records. So all these successful records over here, you're going to want to bulk update those, and you'll have an option to right at the end of reviewing and approving. So you'll bulk update your prospect records to mailed letter 1, and your rejected records, you're just going to want to actually, either put those in another status or just keep in mind that you still have those remaining records that you need to go ahead and update. And if you're wondering, how would you know what you need to update pertaining to the information you provided to REI Printmail, just keep in mind that over here you'll see error message from REI Printmail, and an example over here in red is please check your mailing address 1, mailing city, mailing state, and mailing zip. So with this information, you can go ahead and actually just process that and being able to scrub your list again and then re-upload and do the process entirely again. Also, another thing to mention is that anytime you go ahead and do process an order with REI Printmail, you're actually going to go ahead and be prompted with this screen where you can go ahead and enter your card information. This information does not have to do with Investment Dominator at all. So this is completely REI Printmail. So if there's any issues here, you'll see kind of like a ticket option pop up, or you'll be able to, not only does it send to our team so that we're able to see the issue with the order number, but this is going to send to REI Printmail so you can see exactly the reason why either it was declined or something had come up. But if not, then you'll go ahead and just get an order confirmation page with a thank you. And remember before that we mentioned that it's going to go ahead and bulk update these records. You'll see that you have the option to move your 1,200 records from the prospect status to mailed letter 1. So this is required, and it's pretty essential just because you don't want to get confused in being not updating your records after you're sending out your mailings, which would either result in you sending a second time, or just kind of all bad news around. So keep in mind, this is not pertaining to those that are remailing to the same county, but even then you have a completely different status, a completely different process than this. So also, if you have any more questions in regards to our REI Printmail, as well as, if you just wanted to know if it's worth it, let's say you're using ITI and then you wanted to use REI Printmail, just keep in mind of some of the FAQ questions that are being asked, as well as some of the vital information, as well as like how you can get the essential information to begin your integration. So that's breaking down those 3 integrations and just highlighting that fact. So everything is really coming into cultivation to be able to give you ground running when you're working with the Investment Dominator, and really just excited about getting those new sites and new features to you guys regarding everything. So last but not least, let's go ahead and just dive more into Zapier and just kind of getting a understanding of it, and maybe even beginning to go ahead and work with it. So you could see within the user guide here, all I did was go ahead and type in Zapier, and it's spelled like this. So actually we can go ahead and open up a tab. Let's see, for some reason, whenever I click on Zapier, it always opens up to that quick start guide. But basically, just working with Zapier, number one, you'll be able to see that you can connect apps that you use every day. So you'll see a ton of apps within this platform, whether that be, Gmail, Dropbox, Slack, whatever really your business would use. Let's say MailChimp, for instance, as well too. So what you're able to do is you're able to work with both the apps. So we recommend using Investment Dominator. Let's see if we could actually go ahead and look this up. So you'll see here, Investment Dominator pops up. And when you're first starting with Zapier, one thing you want to just kind of get yourself immersed in is what's going on, like what's happening and what's really required. So one thing I like about this app in general is the fact of how visual it is. And what I mean by that is, number one, it just asks me, like find an app or search for an app, and I search for Investment Dominator. So then by searching for Investment Dominator, it's going to go ahead and tell me all of the apps that I could potentially pair the Investment Dominator with. So I believe it basically goes just like the apps that are here are really the most updated apps that are within just kind of the industry. So there's really a large selection of what you can choose from. But of course, we have ones like we mentioned before. So MailChimp, RingCentral, DocuSign, Google Sheets, GetResponse, Gmail, Gravity Forms. So you see that just Trello as well, and Google Forms. So there's just a lot of stuff going on here, and just clicking on even an app. So keep in mind how visual this is, and how really just beginning to work with it can kind of just ease you into it. So when you clicked on Investment Dominator first, you're basically saying that this is going to be the trigger. And that goes under when this happens. So now you're saying when this happens, so when a new record is saved into the database, so when a new record is saved into the Investment Dominator, what's going to happen is that automatically do this. So we have an option here to copy worksheet. Create a new worksheet by copying an existing worksheet. Let's say we wanted to choose another option. So create spreadsheet. We also have create spreadsheet column, as well as create spreadsheet row. So for instance, if we click on create spreadsheet row and we build this combination, it's just going to ask us to go ahead and log in. So we actually have an article more along the lines of how we can begin to do this. Let's see here. So this one right here. So really, this is going to take you step by step on how you can begin to process this information, as well as see how you can create that workflow. So the next step that was really going to happen is it's going to just basically ask you here, it's going to say welcome, as well as create your own workflow. So this is really what you want to begin to try to understand, because you're connecting this app. So we're connecting the Investment Dominator to Google Sheets, and we're saying when this happens, so that new record, create a new spreadsheet row. So once you create this workflow, so it's really 4 steps, and you could begin to play around with each different apps that you're beginning to work with and see exactly how you want to implement automation into the Investment Dominator. And just keep in mind, well, actually, I'll just talk about this first, but you'll see here down below that once you're done selecting all 4 of these options, then it'll say kind of the overall goal of what you're trying to do, and it'll say try it. So the overall goal is to create a spreadsheet row in Google Sheets when a new record is in Investment Dominator. So that's what we get from creating this simple workflow. So depending on how you work and how you do your business, this may either benefit you, or you may want to use another app and see exactly how the integrations can help. For instance, just going back real quick, we do have guides on a majority of the tools used with the Investment Dominator. So this would be, for instance, DocuSign, as well as Ring Central. We have here the GetResponse email marketing software, as well as MailChimp. And then we have over here esignatures.io. So let's go back here to this article that we were at. And what you're going to go ahead and see is that when you're working with anything in Zapier, you need to be able to connect your accounts. So whether that account be directly from the Investment Dominator, you need to go ahead and link that. And when you do this for the first time, so let's say that primarily you want to go ahead and use all your automations just for the Investment Dominator. So once you do this step and be able to get your API key from the Investment Dominator as well as your app URL, you'll then notice that you don't have to do this step again. So it'll really just ease up on what you're doing. So just keep in mind, we have a case here, and basically, I think an image might be blurry there, but if you go to profile, and you'll see down at the bottom just API credentials as well as API user guide. So the user guide is going to tell you how you can go ahead and begin to understand, why you would want to use your API, as well as letting you know that the information within the API is super confidential. So you just want to keep in mind that you don't want to share this code with anybody, but going ahead and adding it here will allow you to go ahead and progress through setting up the integration. So just kind of walking you through a brief example of what you would go ahead and do. So once your workflow is done, you're pretty much, your app and chosen event as well as your account is now done. So now you need to set up your trigger. So remember, when working with this Zapier integration, we're going ahead here and we're updating a record within the Investment Dominator. So now, some of the options that we have to do to set up the trigger, so what's going to basically trigger this action happening to make the other action happen, is that we have to have, since we're adding a new record, the record type is going to be under land deal, and the record status that we're looking for is pending preliminary research. So just keep in mind, if we were working with prospect neutral letters and we're, let's say, updating a Google Sheet constantly with every time after we've, have a new prospect, that would be quite a lot of information to keep track of. So let's, keep this integration strictly to pertaining to the pending preliminary research status. So when you do that, then you'll notice that that's all you really need to set up your trigger for Investment Dominator. So now you need to go ahead and set up the Google Sheets part. So Google Sheets is actually a lot more simpler. to go ahead and use. All you need to do is go ahead and log in with your email address and your password. You don't need any API keys of that sort, just the process with Investment Dominator first. So now this is going to be a little bit more detailed. So you'll see here that when we're under setup action, you'll have a choice where you can select which drive you're under for Google account, as well as which spreadsheet you want to work with. So for this instance, we have a spreadsheet called Property Research. And again, we're pulling all the records that we go ahead and update to pending preliminary research, and we're putting them on this spreadsheet. Then it's just going to ask you which worksheet you're working with. And for this, we kept it simple, so we're just working with the default sheet 1. And some of the information that you want to add. So keep in mind how customizable this option really is and what you're doing. You'll just be able to see that you can enter information strictly. So actually, I think going over this would be more helpful. So when you look at your rows, since we're going ahead and we're updating the rows within the Investment Dominator, you'll go ahead and see that every row we have already within our Google Sheet populates here. So you won't see stuff like owner ID with this number 1 as well as a record. What you're just going to see is owner ID here, first name, last name, status, APN, property county. So what we're doing is you're clicking on this field and you're just entering in owner ID, selecting it, going to first name, typing in first name, you'll see caller first name, and the information that you'll see on this side. So you're actually seeing a real owner ID as well as a real first name. So once you're done linking up your integrations, it's actually going to do a test and it's going to pull that data. So in order for this integration to work, number 1, we have a record already within the pending preliminary research status. It then uses this record as a test. Then we're just applying all the information here pertaining to that specific record that we're testing with. So we're pulling their last name, we're pulling the status as well as the APN and the property county. If you wanted to add more, keep in mind just how customizable this is. You can actually just go ahead to your Google Sheet and create more rows, but one thing you want to go ahead and do is click on refresh fields down below. So once you're done with that, then the last thing that you're going to want to go ahead and do is test and continue. After you test and continue, one thing that you'll see is either if there was an error. So for instance, if you did not have a record within the pending preliminary research status, you'll notice that there's an error. That's because the system can't go ahead and test it to be able to verify if it works. Also, there may be some information which just is essential. And you'll see we labeled those as well in the articles, which need to be filled in. But if not, you'll get this test was successful message down below. And the last thing you'll need to do is go ahead and turn on the Zap. So just keep in mind when working with Zapier, if you go ahead and just type into Google Zapier Quick Start Guide, this is actually going to tell you, number 1, the automation basics, what you need to know. So it's basically just going to walk you through, how the triggers work and being able to understand how you're basically offloading work that you would have to do, or let's say that you're delegating to a team member. And now you can just have this process just take place right in Zapier. And it's actually pretty responsive in terms of getting live updates. So what you'll begin to see is that, if the automation goes wrong at any time, you'll get an email notification just kind of following up with you and telling you that you may want to check your Zapier in order to keep it consistent. This happens sometimes too when businesses either update some of their functionalities, or maybe let's say they add more features as well too. So just keep that in mind. And there's actually another article here on creating your first Zap and being able to get that down. So since Zapier eventually leads into a paid service, what I can say is that the free service, you'll get about, I believe it's 3 free zaps, 3 or 5, I believe, free zaps that you can go ahead and work with. And what you'll notice is that there is quite a lot to really choose from and be able to see which ones you have active. And just keep in mind when we're talking about the limits for 3 and 5, I have over 20 created zaps just to be able to kind of work through, but you know, it's really that limit and that count which stops you is only the zaps that you have turned on. So hopefully that begins to kind of just show you the advanced powers with the Investment Dominator and what you can begin to do. If you have any more questions pertaining to that, we'll go ahead and dive into those topics, but really just being able to browse and first understanding how Zapier works, and then understanding how you can connect it with the Investment Dominator and then other apps, and you will be good to go. So really, there's a lot of options that you can go ahead and do. And one thing you want to keep in mind also, believe, let's go through a topic here. So let's say you want to go ahead and merge your records. So with the REI Printmail integration, I'll go ahead and duplicate this. And let's go back to this quick start guide and just looking at this integration. So one thing that I do want to mention with the REI Printmail integration is that there is a feature that is updated completely within the Investment Dominator, and that feature is to merge. So one thing that you're going to want to keep in mind is that we do have a bunch of articles just basically on how you can merge records as well as merging records with the REI Printmail integration. So there's a new prompt whenever you go to the Investment Dominator. And let's say that when you're beginning to generate your campaign and you're using REI Printmail, REI Printmail actually does not have a way to be able to tell if what you're sending is a duplicate record. So we have this merge records already within the Investment Dominator, but now we have to make it more prominent because of this REI Printmail integration, so that we really limit, you know, sending duplicate records to REI Printmail, let alone any mail house. So you'll just see here that right as soon as you generate a campaign, if there's any records noticed within your system which has matching or conflicting information, and you just want to keep in mind that this is going to be primarily the mailing address, as well as the city, the state, all of that information. So if that matches as well as the name matches, then what you'll go ahead and see is that the Investment Dominator will want you to merge down those records. So by merging down those records, what you'll go ahead and do is you'll see, you'll have the option after you select to either not merge or to yes merge. And just keep in mind, actually, I believe there's this article here, a little bit more just in being able to kind of walk you through how you can merge. But again, address, city, state, and zip. So if this information matches with another record, then you'll get this prompt. If you go ahead and select no, and you don't merge it before you send to REI Printmail, one thing you want to keep in mind is you are going to be essentially wasting money. And what we mean by that is, you're going to be sending duplicate records out when really you should just only be sending one letter. And for those of you who want to go ahead and send, multiple letters, let's say if an owner has multiple properties, you would just want to add that record within your Investment Dominator, clicking on additional properties. But just an example of kind of what we're talking about here. So keep in mind, if the address, the city, and the state and the zip code match, then you'll get that duplicate records. But let's say that you're working with two records here. So we have recipient A followed by recipient B. You'll notice that A has their address as 123 Main Street, but they have the same first and last name as well as the city, state, and zip. So all this other information is exactly the same, but you'll notice on recipient B, we actually have 123 Main Street. And instead of typing out street all the way, you just have ST. So since this is not an exact match, the system will treat this as two different owners. And down here with another example, we have this recipient A, Jane Doe, what you'll see here, let's say they have the same address. Well, if you look at recipient B, you'll actually see that 123 Main Ave doesn't have that period there. So that means the system will actually register it as two different properties that you're sending to. So again, then we're kind of just walking you through, number one, what happens if you say no to the merge, as well as saying yes to the merge. So we always recommend doing the merge just because you want to be able to test the information that you're sending to, but also be sure that you're sending just one letter to per person. So for instance, we have a record A and a record B here. And once you click the OK to go ahead and merge, you'll see that on the left-hand side, you're presented with all the fields that you need to go ahead and work with. Your record A will go ahead and list down all the information pertaining to your record A. In the middle, you'll just see this blank and empty row. And then on record B, you'll see all the information pertaining to record B. So one thing you want to keep in mind is since we can't have a duplicate record like this, you're just going to have to first select which record you're going to want to work with. So for instance, if you have some more vital information pertaining to the record under record A, you may want to go ahead and transfer those. And by clicking on these arrow icons here or here, so if you want to pull information from record B, click on the arrow icons focused for record B. But if you want it for record A, then click on record A. You'll see here that also clicking the choice for record A will pre-populate all of the information here. If you wanted to take anything from B, however, you can just click on the individual icons here, and then you could put that information from record B into your record A. But just keep in mind that when you are going to do this, this is going to make some changes within your Investment Dominator. Number one, when you go ahead and choose a merged record to go ahead and update, you'll have a merged updated record, which will be this new record A, and you'll have a merged deleted record, which will be this record B. So just kind of going into that, just keep in mind for any troubleshooting reasons that you'd want to go to your activity log to be able to kind of manage this, but also submitting a ticket would be able to help you as well. So just a quick question here that we have from Joe Marias. So Joe's just asking how we can initially check for any duplicate records. And because of the new feature within the Investment Dominator, this would actually just consist of going to your campaign section and being able to generate a normal campaign. So let's say, for instance, you're using ITI or local printer, any of these options that you click on, and again, we'll show this method again, clicking on campaigns, and then going to generate your documents. Any one that you click on will go ahead and give you that new prompt for how you can go ahead and process this as well. So just keep in mind of this article here, why am I saying merge the prompt records, as well as we have another article, how you can undo a merge. So really just a lot of resources that you could begin to use when you're working. But it looks like we are just about out of time right now. So any questions that we have left over today, we're going to go ahead and bring to our Monday session. But I just want to thank you all for joining today and giving us your time. And hopefully you learned something valuable from this session. But thank you all for joining, and I will go ahead and see you on our Monday session involved with the Investment Dominator. Goodbye.